The mission is a community, and a community needs to be a living community. It needs to have people from all kinds of walks of life. I think one of the most beautiful things about the mission is that people come together as equal, as persons. St. John the Compassionate, he's our patron saint, our model. He's a figure that comes from a long time ago in the history of the church. We were really inspired by his life. He believed back in the 6th century that the work of the church was not really about handouts, but it was about justice. The history of the mission is quite an adventure. We started in the Blake Boltby neighborhood, which is about 10 minutes away from here. We were looking for a place that would be really part of a neighborhood. There was a strip of stores in the heart of Blake Boltby, and we rented one of them. We moved in, and our life there was very simple at the beginning. We had no money to turn on the hydro, to turn on the heat, the water. But we always believed that first you act because that's what you're called to, and then things follow after that. We were able for almost 8 years to live a very full life in that neighborhood. And it was a very busy place. The neighborhood turned for the worse as drugs became more prominent in the city. It had become too dangerous for people from across the road, from us, from the buildings, to come to see us. We received an invitation to move to another part of town in Toronto, where there was also a lot of need, and we had been promised a new home. And so we left Blake and Boltby and went across town into the West End, and within a week of moving, we were homeless. For a while we conducted our daily life, which consisted really about prayer, meals, meetings, planning for what we're going to do next in a park. We were given the opportunity to buy a building, and it turns out the building that eventually became our new and permanent home was only 10 minutes away from where we were in the first place. And that's where we have been, in this place on Broadview, ever since. Holy, holy, holy Lord of Sabaoth, heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest.
Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you, for the forgiveness of sin.
Part of the vision of the mission is really the healing of the person, is bringing out the best that there is in each person. Our philosophy is not how can we help you, but what do you have that we need? What do you have that you can give to me, that I need? That is the best way to really affirm another person and build them up. It's not by capitalizing on what they do not have or do not know, but is draw out in each person really the gifts that are in there. And that in fact without those gifts, society is less, society is impoverished. So it's not a handout place. It's not a place, to feel sorry for people. And one of those aspects about the healing of the person, and of the lifting up of the person, affirming the person, is that work is very much part of our human nature. Unfortunately, the market philosophy has kind of defined work as an economic necessity, and so it is. But it's more than that, much, much more than that. Work is a human need. A big part of our life here at the mission is eating, preparation of food, receiving food, looking for food, cooking the food, serving the food, and most of all, sharing the food. Our motto has always been, buy our bread because it's the best bread in Toronto, not because you feel sorry for us. We don't want charity, we want work. Buy our bread, don't give us a donation. I'd rather look for new customers to sell our bread than fill out forms to get the government to give us money so we can run a program. We really believe that baking is in itself therapeutic, and baking within the context also of healing. And part of that healing can be for a person as simple as getting up on time to go to work, learning to work with other people, resolving issues. And we really open people up to the whole dimension of running a business, and not just to, making the product. So they're involved in the management side of things, the ordering, customer relations. They're really, we try as much as possible to include people in the understanding of what it means to run a business. The thrift store is on a smaller scale also a social enterprise, and it provides people with experience working in retail. Again, it's very much customer related. There are many skills that people learn by working at the thrift store. And because it's in a different section of town, it also serves as almost like a mini mission. Not everything that happens at the mission is an instant success. For some people, we're a stepping stone to other stepping stones. And it's important to be there for that person in the way that we're meant to be there for that person in their lives. Oftentimes we feel that we may know what's best we have a tendency in the helping industry to have an agenda for people. We have to have set goals. We have to have time frames. Well, that's a business. We're not into business. We're into persons, into people. And the crisis in our society is a personal crisis.
St. John the Compassionate Mission is a beautiful place where we learn about people, you learn about yourself, you learn to love, and especially learning about God's love and God's mercy. This is a place where we share in the challenges of life, the sorrows of life, and especially the joys of life with each other.
There are no strings attached at St. John's, and I think that's what makes it such a special place. No one's going to ask you for your ID or who you are. What are you doing here? It's never been like that. You don't give a piece of bread to someone unless that person means something to you. Those are very powerful words, because St. John's is about eating. And at St. John's, everyone means something to us.
We run a food program for families, and we really take great pride in calling it not a food bank. It's not a food bank. It's a way to access good food for cheap, and also to really change the culture of the fast food industry. Much of the food that is given to the poor is unhealthy and high in calories. And there's really no reason for that.
Food for Families is our alternative to the food bank system, where we basically set up a marketplace where families get an opportunity to come and they get to go shopping, and not just seeing it as a handout, but being a part of something bigger. Food for Families is an opportunity for families to meet their basic needs of proper food and nutrition, but also in a way that engages them.
How do we eat better? How can we use, the foods that are available in a more healthy way. And we're focusing more on families because we find that working poor families are perhaps the ones that go under every radar. I've gone to places where you line up and people put food on your plate. And I really experience how, if you do that every day, what a sense of powerlessness sets in. A lot of our people live isolated lives. They live in rooming houses. They're often scared. The street is not always a safe place, and come often from a broken background. And a lot can happen around a simple kitchen table. We emphasize that anybody can prepare a meal, anybody can bring soup, but what's really important is to sit beside one another and to engage people in conversation, to engage people in a real interest of their lives, in however form they let you in their lives. 3,500 meals per month. During the winter, for an example, we open our doors at 5:30 in the morning, sometimes even earlier. We are the only drop-in center in Toronto that opens its doors at that time of the day.
I came to the mission 26 years ago and I never left. We see people on the street and they say, "Jeannie, when's breakfast starting?" I tell them when they come. I go to bed early to get up at 3:30 in the morning to come to St. John's, and I'm very happy here. I really enjoy breakfast at St. John's. I'm the first one here, and sometimes people are outside waiting for me. Usually the same people every day, but sometimes we get new ones. It's really nice here.
We have a lot of volunteers who come from the community outside St. John's, and everybody, we try to find a place for all of our people where they can volunteer. Most of the work that we do, you couldn't pay somebody to do them. Only people who act out of the heart, people who have real care, compassion for other people. Volunteer is not about cheap labor or free labor. In fact, I think it's volunteers that actually create the temperature in a society. If a society is only functions by people who are being paid to do something, it is not a very human society. Where you do have a society that's deeply human and where there's a lot of hope is when you find that people are willing to give of themselves from their heart, and to be present to others in whatever way, whether it's through washing dishes, serving meals, listening to a person, developing friendships, tutoring, bringing expertise on how to sell better our bread. There are many, do the gardening. So that's really my greatest hope and our greatest hope. And we really try very hard to make everyone who comes feel needed. And it doesn't matter whether you have a PhD or you're a banker or a teacher or somebody off the street. We really welcome you and we really need you.
To me, St. John's means family, a place where you can come and be yourself and be accepted, have your bad days, have your great days, and still feel like you belong no matter what.
St. John's gives me a purpose. Gives me self-esteem too. What's important to me is the people that I've met here that live on the streets, and I come and we have breakfast together.
To me, St. John's is a place of compassion. It's a place of mercy.
To me, St. John's really is about community.
St. John's Compassionate Mission doors are always open. We have this saying, the coffee's on, we've been waiting for you.